Hello, everybody. Look at you. Oh, risers. Risers is not the word. Hi. Just see me mess with these stupid lights. I mean, I love these lights. They're great. Okay. Hi, everyone. We're a couple minutes early. Okay. If you are on here, you are my go-getters. Hey, guys. Hey, Wendy. Okay. I want to hear in the comments. What have you had any light bulb moments so far? And if you're willing to share with those light bulb moments, I would love to hear them as well as everybody else. I'm so glad that all you guys are on. I think there's going to be a lot of us on. And I'm going to take out my retainers. We're family like that, aren't we? Okay. So I want to hear your light. Have you had a light bulb moment since reading this? Anything? And tell me kind of what those things are. And so if you guys are on your computer, there's a chat feature at the bottom, or even on your phone, there's a chat feature. So let me know. If you want to change the fruits, you've got to change the roots. So man, I can just tell I am ready to receive. Yes. Okay, that is so good, Wendy. That's one of the first things we're going to talk about. I've read this book lots of times, and I read it years ago, and it helped me tremendously. But even reading it again and listening to it again multiple times, at a higher level, a different level, my blueprint. I'll talk about. I don't want to give it away. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But okay, Jennifer, y'all need to get to know Jennifer. Raise your hand, Jennifer. She's new and she's rocking it. Like she's just ordered a couple of days ago and she's posted multiple times. She's confident. She is learning. I post a video. She watches it. We're just so proud you're on the team. Okay. I love how it makes it easy to identify those blueprints. Helps you be aware of them. What your parents say when that were then spoken over you since you were young, and how to rewrite your blueprint. Yes, that is so big. And then we're going to talk about how.
Just saw 49 right as you come in Jones County.
Naturally, we aren't even aware that they are observing what we hear.
Or what 49 is there.
And success. Hey, everybody. If you're just hopping on, we are sharing some of the things in the comments that are light bulb moments that we've had since reading or listening so far. There is a lot, and there's going to be a lot more. But the more that we repeat, and share what we're learning, the more it's going to stick. So we have a few more minutes, or maybe we'll start in one more minute, but share a couple things in the comments. Yeah, all your light bulb moments that you've had so far. Speaker view, that gets easier when people watch the recording. Okay, so hey everyone, for those hopping on, we're just sharing a couple things in the comments right before we get started. Our light bulb moments, things that were like, oh, some aha moments that we've had. I would love for you guys to read through what everybody else is saying about what we have read so far. And so some of you guys are listening on Audible. I highly recommend that you also get the written book. Like this is a repeat book. Like I listen to it while I'm out and about, but when I prepped for this study, I sit down and listen to it more. I just absorbed so much more. If you look at my copy, there's just so much stuff written in it. It's just so good. Yes, we can mute ourselves. Make sure everybody's muted, please.
Casey, it's I don't like doctors like Sarah, you know, they should have done that first thing.
I tried, Kyle.
There we go.
Hey, Mom, I'm going to have to go, though. My meeting is starting now.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
On the phone.
Enjoy your night. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Hopefully you guys are sharing your comments sharing your aha moments in the comments. Let's get started because we have so much to talk about. I kissed Rob and the kids right before I came in here, and I was like, Rob, I'm so excited. Like, I feel really prepared. I've got my business jacket on. If you know Ryan Ritz, she always used to work at a child development center, and she never wore jackets. But when she wore a jacket to work that day, everybody knew she meant business. And so I'm excited to talk about business. I'm excited to talk about life, and we're going to have a fun spin on it, of course. So I want to start with this. One of the opening lines of this book said, "This will be the most important book you'll ever read." That's pretty high expectations. That's pretty high up there. I'm going to say the Bible is the most important book you'll ever read. Okay. But let's put, what if this is number 2? The most important book you have ever read. As I am saying this, probably a couple things are happening inside of you. You're either like, yes, let's do it, I'm ready to receive, or you're like, okay. Who else? Sorry, guys. Okay, so what was I saying? Okay, so you're either saying like, yes, I'm ready to receive, this book's going to change my life, let's do it. Or you're like, yes, I read books before, my life ain't any different. Okay. And like he talks about in the beginning of the book, people come to his seminar. There are people that come to his seminar and they sit right next to each other. Okay. They are hearing all of the exact same comment. They are reading the exact same words on the exact same pages. And one of them is going to walk out with a completely different money blueprint, a completely different life, and a completely different future, because they did the work to actually change how they think. The other person, they're like, all of the exact same content, but nothing about them changed. And so I really want to charge you. I know that you guys don't be that 50%. Okay. Be the ones that are here ready to receive. Like he talks about, things are energy. Our thoughts are actually, those have energy behind them. And so if you are expecting this to change your life, your business, your influence, your wealth, it will. If you are cynical and doubting and all those things, probably not. And if you're still in the middle somewhere, that's okay. We're not going to have any judgment around this. And part of your homework is going to help you explore what your current money blueprint is, why you may be feeling really excited about this study or really hesitant about this study. Okay. Do not, like, for week 1, this is going to be really, really important. If you don't do this journaling exercise afterwards, you're going to be in the 50% who doesn't get out of it what it was. Okay. So a couple questions I have for you to start off with is, what meaning have you attached to the word rich or millionaire? This kind of has to go around with what I just said. So some of you guys may have said, oh, Secrets of a Millionaire Mind. Ugh, like rich people. Or I'm a good Christian person, I'm not supposed to be a millionaire. Or, you know, who is this guy? So those are some, if those were some things that were wrapped around when you heard this, we're going to explore that. You're not alone in feeling that way. And also, if you were like, millionaire, yay, I want to be a millionaire, good, holla. Okay, then we're also going to explore ways for you to get there and not lose it. Okay, so very, very, very informative. Nothing has meaning except for the meaning that you have attached to it. That's my favorite parts. Oh, can you let people in the waiting room? Sorry. I don't see a waiting room. Is everybody in? McKenna, is everybody good to go? I don't think there's a waiting room. McKenna, that happened to me the other day, and I had to get on my computer, and then for some reason it wouldn't work on my phone. Catching up on all these things over here. Can one of my leaders answer some of the questions that come in the comments for me while I'm talking? Okay, so as he talks about in the book, nothing has meaning except for the meaning that you have attached to it. What is this? You may have heard me say this analogy again. What is this? This is a brick. Does it mean anything? No. Can I take this brick and build the foundation of our new house? Can I build a church with it? Can I build a hospital with it? Can I build a homeless center with it? Can I build a school with it? Yeah, that makes the brick really cool and really useful and really important. Can I also take this brick and can I go smash in your windshield? Can I steal your sunglasses out of your car? Can I steal your car with it? Can I throw it through the window of your business? Can I throw it through the window of your church? Yes, I can. Okay. But that does not make the brick good or bad. Okay. It's just the meaning that you have attached to it. It is what you are doing with the brick that matters. And so if you had some kind of weird thing about money, we all do, and I'm going to help you become aware of it in your homework this week. I loved what he says. There's no meaning except for the meaning that you have attached to something. So, okay, I want to hear from a couple of you guys. So I've had some first of all, I want you to know this study is kind of a big deal. But let me tell you why. There are a lot of you on it. And the Lord brought a lot of people who said they weren't going to be doing the study to join the study today, to get the book and start reading it today. Like there is an urgency, there is a stirring behind the purpose and meaning behind this. So I'm really grateful that you guys are a part of this. I'm really grateful that you guys are empowering yourself to make a greater impact. I'm really grateful that you're willing to explore what success means to you and to live to your highest and fullest potential. Okay, so I've had multiple side conversations the last couple of days. Amber, if you're on the call, I would love for you to unmute, and I want a couple of you guys, other people, to share your stories as well. Go ahead and put in the comments if you feel led to share on this topic of what meaning have you attached to certain things. And so Amber's a really good friend of mine, and we were kind of exploring her money blueprint, her mindset behind money, her mindset behind success. And I think we kind of got to an aha point today that she's going to explore a little bit further in her homework. But Amber, would you love to share what that is?
Yeah, sure. So Jess was asking curious questions as always. And she was asking me about my blueprint. And short story is my parents owned a business when I was a kid, and we were instilled to work hard. And like when I say work hard, like I started getting a 1099 when I was in middle school. Okay, like legit. So we were always just told work hard, work hard, work hard. And so I left my corporate job to do Plexus only 4 years ago. And I had this whole mentality that was very toxic around work. And that's kind of what we came up with today, was that working hard in my mind equated to more money. And we had a conversation last summer where we were talking about working hard, and I had, like several of you guys have probably sat through different leaders and different styles and different things where people talk about, you got to work hard, you got to work till 2 a.m., you got to do that. And I immediately shut down because I was like, no, I can't go back to that place. Like I stepped away from corporate world to not do that again. And so as Jessica was asking me questions, I still haven't figured it all out, but something in the word work hard, like when Jess brings that word up, I like shut down a little bit because I'm like, no, I can't go back to that place. So yes, it was kind of a light bulb moment.
Yes. Okay. So we were exploring. Let me put the speaker view back on. I literally need someone to do video for me. Okay. So we were exploring because Amber, like she said, like she grew up working hard. She worked hard as a child, as a teenager. Her parents owned a business. She had to work hard for her money. She used to be working corporate America. She had to work long and hard hours. She got paid good money, but she had to work hard to get that money. Her husband owns a business. They make a lot of money in their business. It is very financially well off, but he has to work long hours to make that good money. So I was asking her, I wonder if you are equating that in order to make good money, you have to work long and hard and be away from what's important to you. And so that was kind of like maybe you had equated to that. So instead of, because nothing has meaning unless you attach meaning to it. So what if success or wealth could come easy to you, could come easier than you had thought that it could come before? And so then we started to discuss a couple of other instances in her life where money has come easy, where a financial opportunity came across easy, or where something they bought like doubled in equity. Like it was just like, oh, okay, your brain will always find proof for what it believes. And so that's why we have to go back to what meaning have we attached to this? And so the first step is awareness, like she's aware of this now. Now she has to recognize the lie. So she's recognizing the lie that she was believing. She's got to replace that with the truth. And start giving her brain proof of the opposite. So money can come easy. Success, you can be consistent and intentional and not have to work this business 8 hours a day, but you do have to be consistent and intentional in your pockets of time that you have to work. And so anyways, that was just one example of that. Was kind of another analogy from a really great book is, what's the Secrets of a, it also says secrets in the title. What's the other book that we love on this team?
Is it the You're a Bad A at Making Money?
No, it's the one from Noah St. John. He talks
Secret
about
Code of Success.
Secret Code of Success. Secret Code of Success. He tells the analogy that, in success, these people, he uses the analogy of Ferrari. It can be whatever you want to, but they want to drive this Ferrari and the Ferrari goes fast, right? But they get in the Ferrari and they have the emergency brake on. Okay. That's the same thing that's happening with our subconscious. Like, Amber, this is one example of an Amber, like she wants success, she wants it, but subconsciously her brain is like, I'm not willing to work 12 hours a day to be successful. So I may not just do anything for a little bit right now, because you know what I mean? The subconscious level. So you may have, I would love to hear from somebody if you were like me, for example, like even this book at the beginning, I've had some aha moments just within this past week. This book being called Millionaire in the title, talking about rich mindset and poor mindset. I'm like, oh my goodness, my team is going to judge me. They are going to think that I'm just all about being rich and having money, which is, if you know me, that is so not true. But because I still had weird meanings attached to the word rich. I still had to work through some of those. I still kind of had, rich people are snooty, or they're not kind, or they're not using their money for good. And so even I this week had to work through some of those to an entirely different layer. And if you know my money backstory, is I was making really good money with Plexus, but I was having a lot of guilt about it. Guilt for making good money. And so I had a life coach who helped me explore because he was like, that's interesting. How come? Like I was telling the story of how I was able to hire a housekeeper and I had an assistant and these things. And I was like, but I feel gross because my friends, I have this friend at church and she could never afford a house cleaner. So I feel guilty that I can afford a house cleaner. So we explored that and we came down to the root, which we're going to help you do this in your homework this week. The root I had attached to meaning, the root meaning I had attached to money is if you have money, if you have a lot of money, you must be taking it from somebody else. If you have a lot of money, you must not have character. Because my dad worked in a factory my entire life. My dad probably made around $30,000 and supported a family of 7. Okay. And so I didn't grow up with money, and I grew up with my parents, not purposely, but what they modeled, because they did not have money, was that people who had money were rich or snobbed or must be nice mentality. And so I came by that naturally. So I'm over here making money from my iPhone, laying by my pool, like literally working my business. But my mindset was like, but my dad, those good old boys, they worked hard with their hands. That's how they made money. So if I'm relaxing, making $1 million a year, I must be bad. Isn't that interesting? That was literally the meaning I had attached to it. Or I must be spoiled. Like, because when I was a child, people who their parents bought them a car, or they got to go on nice vacations. It was just easier for our family to be like, must be nice. Look at them, they're spoiled. When in actuality, we wish that was us. I wished my parents could afford to buy me a car. And honestly, my parents, I'm sure, wish they would have been able to, but they couldn't. Okay. And so it's easier for us to judge something than it is to explore what meaning we actually have attached to these things. Okay. We've got some things going on in the comments. I don't want to miss any of these things. Okay. And if anybody wants to unmute, I would love to hear, your thoughts on this. Megan Sellers, I know you have some wisdom on this area. if you want to unmute.
Hi. As far as wisdom about like what specifically?
Oh, I mean, you keep commenting, and I remember you were saying things just about like energy in general, and I know that you
Yeah.
are a coach. Yeah.
Yeah, that's besides plexus and nannying, that is what I do.
Yeah.
We just, and you've said it, a lot of this is things that I've heard from you and your podcast is like, oh my gosh, what is the phrase that you say? We live into the story we tell ourselves.
Yes.
And that is so true. And I did a session with someone today, and I was explaining how all of this works. And I told her, there are thoughts and beliefs in our subconscious that we have no idea are even in there because of trapped emotions that we've done, like kept in our bodies, that have created beliefs. I could have several examples, but I don't have to go into that. But like, if I'm not even aware of the beliefs that I have in my subconscious, what kind of reality am I creating? And also, how am I physically affecting other people? Because our thoughts have energy and our thoughts physically affect other people. So if I'm on the road and I'm thinking terrible thoughts about the other drivers, I'm physically affecting them. I'm weakening their frequency, which is nuts to me. But yeah. So we need to be careful. The Bible says, keep every thought captive.
Yes.
And to renew our minds. So
yes, if we can teach you anything through this study, is that to teach you to be aware of what meaning you have attached to certain things. You guys have heard me talk about this multiple times. Like, for a simple example, this isn't just about money. In any area of life, this is so simple. What are you avoiding or resisting? Okay. Powerless people will, if something makes them uncomfortable, they will just avoid, resist, not go there, not explore, not do that. What do I teach you guys all the time in this business? Be, especially when it comes to things about this business, if something scares you, let's be aware that that is there. Let's explore why that's happening, and let's move forward with that. And so this is the same thing with money. This is the same thing with business. This is the same thing with life. This is the same thing with your marriage. It's all connected. This is one of the healthiest things we can do. I want to tell you about an optional thing I'm going to offer you guys next week. So this is optional, but this is something I'm really passionate about, and has been proved to be super powerful for people. I'm going to offer an optional restorative freedom prayer session next Wednesday. There'll be a post about this in the group. By the way, after this call, there is a group that you guys can all be added to that will have all the future recordings of all the week's calls. I've got resources, like I've got links to all the declarations that you can print out. I've got a link to the homework you're going to fill out. I'm going to be doing the prizes all in this group page. So all the information about this restorative freedom session is in there. But it's just another chance. I'm going to just to tell you what it is a little bit. It'll be a group session. Everybody can be a part of it. I'm just going to lead you into you becoming aware of that weird emotion that's coming up, whether you're feeling guilt around money or fear around leadership, or like I made a whole list of possible emotions people may be feeling. You may be feeling hopelessness, like you may feel like I don't actually believe this stuff, or you may be feeling like, well, I was a failure before, so that may be uncomfortable. You may be having resentments toward people who are successful or around rich people. You may be having judgments towards others or yourself. You may feel like you are not worthy of success. Anyways, we're going to take those negative emotions, and I'm just going to guide you to have Jesus speak to that emotion for you, because the truth is what sets people free, and the truth is Jesus. And I've been doing these individual sessions with my jewels, and it's been just really beautiful and really powerful for what the Lord frees people from. And it's been the best thing I've ever done to find freedom from things I'm avoiding and resisting. So you all are invited to be a part of that. All the details will be in the group page. And so some people who have done sessions with me are commenting in the comments if you want to check those out. Okay, back to where we were. Is anybody like burning to say something? Because there's a reason.
Okay, I have something that I want to say real quick.
Yeah.
Just listening to what you were talking about, one thing I didn't realize I was doing is when making assumptions about what someone else can afford. So because I grew up with we can't afford that mentality in our house. You know, my dad factory his entire life. So I just make the assumption, I bet they can't afford it. And so I am pre-failing in a opportunity because, you know, well, surely I bet they can't afford this. So I need to go ahead and give them the lowest option so that they can afford it. And then when they see how well it works, then they'll want more. Like, I'm not doing that. I've done that in the past, but I am not going to do that. But you just saying that made me think about that. So
Yes. Okay. That is so common. I mean, raise your hand, put in the comments if you're feeling that same thing. That is so common. And y'all, that's a great awareness because we project onto other people what we tend to be feeling. And so the more that we can heal these roots, the more that we can get to the bottom of these things and free them with the truth, the more we won't project our bad money blueprints onto somebody else, which is so common. A great book for all you guys on that topic is Go for No. I mean, I'm not a salesperson. I mean, sales is upselling people can still be uncomfortable for me sometimes. So I need to go read it again. But it's a really little book, really little, Go for No. And it helped bring a lot of awareness on just being bold about what you have, what we provide and how it can help other people. Okay. Anybody else feeling a burning passion to talk about before we move on?
I was just going to say that, you know, one of the sorry about the bad lipstick. I can't get rid of the virtual lipstick thing, but I struggle because, you know, we've made some decisions for a long time to not work my old job, and we're comfortable, you know, everything's good. It's good enough. And we paid our house off. That was kind of a goal. Like, where do you go from there? You know, I don't know why I'm so emotional about this, but where do you go from there when it's like, we have everything we need? Like, why do I need to do that? When they're like, find your why, it's very difficult for me because it's definitely not money motivated at all. You know, I don't necessarily feel bad about it. I guess I think people are entitled to have, you know, money, and if they have it, they should give it and do what they want with it. But I'm baffled by how comfortable I am in what little we have, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know what's behind that. I'd love to, like, somebody to articulate what might be behind that.
Well, I'm gonna give you multiple questions for you to explore as your homework. And this is one of the most important pieces, is to know your story. Know why you act the way that you do, you think the way that you do, and you believe the way that you do. Like they talk about multiple times, you're programming around money, but this is your programming around everything. Your thoughts affect your feelings, and your feelings affect your actions, and your actions affect your results. Say that again. I mean, somebody typed that forward, the 4 thoughts, feelings, actions, results. So we have to be aware of why we are thinking these things, because what we think affects our results. So thoughts affect our feelings affect our actions, and actions affect our results. And so 3 of the main areas in the homework is going to be, they talk about this, I forget if it's in the intro or part 1, but verbal programming, your modeling, and specific incidents. We're going to talk about what you've heard about money as a child, what you saw about money as a child, and what you experienced about money as a child. And so this is going to help you move forward. This is going to lay the foundation that we're going to be able to grow on. But one thing about, if you're in the boat of feeling uncomfortable around making more money, or you're like, maybe you'd be like Carrie and you're comfortable with how much you're making right now. Let me tell you this story real quick. Okay, so moving forward, this is in a later chapter, but this really, really, really helped me. Like I have this yellowed, starred, highlighted, arrows, all the things. Okay, so he talks about, let me just read this paragraph to you. Many poor people actually believe they are better people because they are poor. Somehow they believe they're more pious or spiritual or good. Baloney. The only thing poor people are is poor. I had a gentleman at the course, he teaches these courses, and he said, I had a gentleman at the course come to me in tears. He said, I just don't see how I can feel good about having a lot of money when others have so little. I asked him a few simple questions. What good do you do for poor people by being one of them? Whom do you help by being broke? Aren't you just another mouth to feed? Wouldn't it be more effective for you to create wealth for yourself and then be able to really help others from a place of strength instead of a place of weakness? And so that was just like, that was helped me a ton because I've been there before, like, I don't need any more money. I'm okay. But then that helped me realize you're just thinking about yourself when you think that way. But okay, so here's a little bit more story about my money blueprint. So some of you guys have heard this story before. Okay, but when I first started Plexus, I was all in. Like, I'm gonna go for this. I'm gonna do it. I would people who were successful, like I wanted to follow them on social media, see what they were doing. The weekly leaderboard emails that come out each week. Do you guys do this? I would go and see who were the top enrollers. And I would go and follow them on social media. I wanted to learn from successful people. That's another principle that we're going to learn about in this book. If you want to be if you want to be rich, use that, if you want to be rich, if you want to be wealthy, if you want to be successful, you have to think and act like successful people do. And so in the beginning, I found out who was the top earner in the entire company. And it was Celeste Gwynn, still Celeste Gwynn. And this was 8 years ago. And I was like, I gotta find out how much money she's making. And so I found out that she was making at that time around $150,000 a month. She makes a lot more than that now, but a month, okay? So at that time, my money blueprint was like, oh my gosh. I mean, that's a lot. a lot. So, but I set my goal. I was like, okay, I mean, she's the best in the company. She's the best of the best. Half of that. I'm going to make my biggest, hairiest, scariest goal half of what she makes. And so I kind of set my money blueprint to $75,000 a month, half of that amount. So a couple of years ago, I hit that. I got to that point in my business. Such a gift, such a blessing. And you know where I have been for about 3+ years. I've been at that same amount. Now, I'm not saying there's anything right or wrong with that amount. Okay. I'm not going to attach any meaning. Let's practice not attaching meaning to what $1 million a year means. Okay. But I've been at that same place for multiple years. And so as I'm rereading this book again, I'm understanding, whoa, and I forget if he says it in this reading or if it's next week's reading, where there was a guy who came to a seminar. He was making about the same amount of money for about 5 years. He reset his money blueprint. I think he was making $500,000. So he reset his money. No, I think he was making around $1 million. He reset his blueprint to $2 million. And then he came back, he talked to Harv years ago and he's like, I think the only mistake I made is I didn't make my money blueprint high enough, because he went up to that amount and then he capped out. And so that's kind of where, and the thermostat analogy was the same. Like wherever your money blueprint is set at is where you're kind of will always end up. But let me tell you something. When I became aware of this last week that I've kind of been at the same income for multiple years, again, no good or bad to that. It just was an interesting insight. I came to realize that one of the quotes from the book, your income can only grow to the extent that you do. It's been COVID for 2 years. I'll be the first to say my personal growth and development has not been as much the past 2 years as it was before COVID. I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, that's a basic principle. We talk about this in network marketing. Network marketing is a personal growth and development company with a compensation plan attached. Like, it is relevant to the areas where you are growing. Often your income will grow to the extent that you are growing as a person. And so when I was aware of how I've been making the same amount for multiple years, and how I'm expanding my money blueprint and what meaning I have attached to money, it also helped me realize that if I'm making the same amount that I have been for 3 years, that means that I'm not helping people on my team reach their maximum potential. Because I bet multiple people on my team have probably been doing the same thing or less, following my example or my lead or my area of growth. That's why I'm so excited for this book, because I love this book. I love doing book studies. We haven't done one in so long. When we used to do them consistently, it equated to the growth of me and equated to the growth of you. And then you, when your lit is higher, you're leading your people to higher, and you're leading everybody's rising each other up. And so that was a really cool awareness that I had in reading this. Wasn't that so interesting about the thermostat analogy? Let's go over that again real quick. Okay, so he said, so a thermostat, it's set to 72 degrees, right? Or whatever you have it set to. And so if you open the window, like right now when it's freezing cold outside, the temperature in the house is going to go down. But eventually, since the thermostat's set to 72, it'll get back up there. If in the summertime we have the windows open, it's going to be a little hotter for a little bit. But since my thermostat is set to 72, it'll turn on and bump it back down to where it was. Okay. So in your business, you may have your money blueprint set to a certain amount, and you may be having like a really awesome season. Like you're in momentum, you're above that, you're set. It looks like your yearly goal is going to go above what you thought. And then what's going to happen? Something will probably knock you down. Or an old way of thinking is going to come back, and you're going to start believing it, and it's going to knock you back down or lower than you already were. Okay. But if you have that set to higher than you already are, and your beliefs go back that up, that is what the meaning that you've attached to that, you have vision, you have purpose behind that, you will eventually get there because of your belief around that. So anyways, let me check a couple of the comments. Okay. We live in a world of cause and effect. A lack of money or a lack of success is never the problem. Okay, it's not a problem. A lack of money or success is merely a symptom of what's going on underneath. So a lot of people, you may hear them, your friends or other people, they're like, I just don't have any money. I just can't ever get ahead. Like, that's not the problem. That's just an effect of how they've been living and believing in their life. So I thought that was a really cool analogy. Okay, these declarations. If you've been listening to Audible, these declarations are important, because I'm going to say this again. He says this multiple times. If what you have been doing has been working, stick with it. But I think almost everybody on this call is on this call because they're not to the level that they want to be or wish they could be. And so to get to a different place, if you're you have to think completely different than what you used to. So did I think declarations were hokey when I first started to read this? Yeah, maybe. But then when he kept saying multiple times, if you have to think and act completely differently. Successful people think and act differently than regular people. So, and then he basically says, I'll read this, it's on page 16. No, okay, when he was talking about, I recommend that you state your declarations aloud each morning and each evening. Doing your declarations while looking into a mirror will accelerate the process even more. Now, I have to admit, when I first heard all this, I said, no way. This declaration stuff is far too hokey for me. But because I was broke at the time, I decided, what the heck? It can't hurt, and started doing them. Now I'm rich, so it shouldn't come as a big surprise that I believe that declarations really work. Either way, I'd rather be really hokey and really rich than really cool and really broke. How about you? I thought that was really interesting. And so give it a try. Give it a try. It's going to be in part of your journaling exercise. Saying things out loud is really, really powerful. Saying things and declaring things over your life helps your body and your mind kind of come into alignment with those things. So I thought that was really fun. What else? Okay, I'm going to hear from you guys some more, but let me tell you a couple more of my favorite quotes. It's essential to recognize how our old ways of thinking and acting got you exactly where you are today. Okay, so we're going to do a lot of this in your homework. It's so important for you to understand, not avoid, not blame somebody else, not play the victim card. I'm not successful. My upline won't help me. I've had this and this go wrong. This person left for another company. Like, all of those things are disempowering. and you are a powerful person, and you are able to change your future. One of the first questions I ask you in your homework is, do you believe that your future can be different than it is today? Starting with that foundation, do you believe your future can be different than it is today? So it's essential to recognize how our old ways of thinking and acting got us exactly to where we are today. The lesson is simple. If you want to have a higher level of life, you have to be willing to let go of some of your old ways of thinking and being and adopt new ones. The results will speak for themselves. Okay, so when you actually incorporate these things and the things that we're going to learn in these books, the results will speak for themselves. If you aren't seeing the results, then you got to go back to this simple lesson. If you want to have a higher level of life, you have to be willing to let go of some of your old ways of thinking and being and adopt new ones. The results will speak for themselves. Okay. Who else is dying to share? I know there's some, I want to hear other people's perspectives. Who's become aware of some lies they believed about money or that they inherited from their parents?
I put it in the comments, but it broke my heart. I was listening to the Audible and my daughter heard about the word rich and she goes, I don't want to be rich because I hear rich people are rude. Now, I've never said that. My husband's never said that. I grew up feeling the same way, but I don't recall my parents ever saying that. So I definitely want to work very hard to break the generational mindset.
Yes.
And find out where are we hearing that from? Like, where is that coming from? And I said, but Hallie, Jesus, God doesn't want us to be poor. He wants us to have money so we can bless other people. Like, and she's like, oh yeah, I never thought about it like that. But why, so I have a lot. It was very eye-opening that she had the same thoughts that I had. And I'm sure maybe my parents had the same thoughts as well. Like my dad grew up so poor that they had one bowl and one spoon per person, so I don't know.
Thank you for sharing that, Hannah. I'm excited for you to get to explore that some more in your homework this week. Yep, it's crazy. Our kids, like I said, my parents never sat down and said, rich people are bad, they're spoiled, we're not going to be like they never said that. It was just came off and how they acted, how they felt, a little cynical comment here and there. And it was amazing how perceptive I was. And it may have to do with birth order. It may have to do with the personality of the child. I was the oldest child. I was so much more aware. Like, it's so interesting what we even remember. Like, my dad was laid off for a couple of years. I don't even remember how old I was, maybe like third or fourth grade. And I remember that. Like, I remember the stress on my parents. I remember how tight money was. And a couple of years ago, I remember telling my dad that, and he was like, you remember that? Like it was so surprising to him that I would remember the weight of that time in my life as a child. So it's so interesting, even just with freedom in general, like who we are is how we lead. And so if you're a mom, just like I become aware, like today was a snow day. And so when I reflect on today, I'm like, I'm not really the fun mom. Like, I didn't do that many fun things. Like I was, but then it's like, Jessica, I don't want my kids to grow up thinking I'm not a fun mom or that she had to, it just was, you just become aware of things. And when you're aware of things, this is really important. I'm going to preach for just a second. Satan wants to condemn you and give you guilt and shame and make you feel bad about the way that you are feeling and acting. Okay. That he wants to keep you down. He wants to tell you you're a bad mom, you're a bad business person, you're a bad leader, you'll never be good enough. Those voices, if the voice that you're hearing in the back of your head is condemning like that, that is not from God. That is from the enemy. The voice from God is going to be uplifting and empowering and loving and kind, like, oh, Jessica, I know that you saw that you made some bad choices today, but tomorrow we're going to do better together. Jessica, you are a good mom. Go in there and hug your children, look them in the eyes and tell them that you love them. Like those voices, Jessica, you are a good leader. And today you're going to show up on your team page because you're a good leader. Like those voices, if one of the biggest things I could do, like, is to just be aware of how that voice sounds to you. I mean, you could go on a whole nother tangent. I did a 6-part spiritual warfare series on my podcast last year, like becoming aware of the voices of condemnation and fighting back in warfare. But anyways, what's some more things in the comments? Somebody else unmute yourself and talk while I read through some of these things in the comments. Ooh, that's a good point, Sally. She said, I think we can also feel some strange sense of betrayal. Like if we do better than our parents, it's going to hurt them, or we aren't loyal. So I'm excited for you to explore that. That's also a thing, within your marriage. Some people think they make up a story about if they make more money than their husband. And so if they don't explore the root of that, they're just going to keep avoiding that. And it's going to keep them stuck in their business instead of exploring that and really moving past that. So that's so good. So good. What else? Somebody unmute. I'm going to read some more of these comments. What's some aha moments that you guys had? Maybe you've read this before even, and you're reading it with fresh eyes. Who wants to share?
You know what I find very interesting in
Yes.
reading that, it talks about how, you have these people that made great money, but they never had anything left, or they were in major debt, all of that. And, I just left, I'd shared with you last week, maybe, that I just left my corporate job and I was making good money. But we never had a whole lot left over, and I never really understood that. And then as we're sitting here talking, I've realized that that's another thing that I think that I believe since I was little, because I've heard it or saw it modeled, we never have any extra. You never have extra. So like, even though we were living under our means, somehow it's like, okay, well, we have this money, so we have to spend it. I think that is how I was operating. Anyway, that was a light bulb.
I love when people have light bulb moments.
Yeah.
And this is so, like, there's such extremes. The point of, we've got to get to the middle. Like the great extreme story is me and my husband, Rob. Like we both did not grow up with that much, but I took on the role of, okay, way over here. Like, okay, well, we didn't have enough growing up. And so we need to save, hoard. You know what? I don't want to lose it. And so I was way too over here for a long time. Rob, on the other hand, was like, oh, we've got money. We better spend it. We better spend it fast before it's gone. So he was spending, I was like hoarding, saving, but neither of those were healthy. And both of those were coming from a root of not feeling worthy of it, or not feeling good enough to have it. And so we just operated in different ways. And it was a real struggle and strain in our marriage. And so one of the, let's give our brain proof of good things that it can do with money, is we've had extensive marriage therapy to help us become aware of that's going on, help us get to the root of our own worthiness, our own woundings, our own issues. So now we're more closer to the middle. Our marriage is healthier than it's ever been. I had to come a little bit this way. He had to come a little bit this way. He's still on this side. I'm still on this side, but we are closer to a healthier medium. So this also is a great conversation to have with your spouse about money. Just in the car the other day, I was just asking Rob, like about money blueprint. So I was asking him, and I know a lot of it, but just to kind of discuss it, like I was asking him, like, what did your parents say about money growing up? Like, which parent do you think you act more like today, money wise? Like, which parent do you model out more closely after about money? Just helping other people become aware of those things and just being curious. Like that's a great way to connect with your spouse. That's a great way to probably understand them a little bit better, why they act and do the things that they do. And so that would be a good thing for y'all to do this week. Okay, so funny story. So when I'm reading some of this book, this song comes up. I'll put it on the group page, but it's such a redneck song. But have you guys heard the song Buy Me a Boat? Like this guy's like, money can't buy you happiness, but it can buy you a boat. You can buy me a truck to pull it. it can buy me a Yeti with beer to fill it, whatever. So he's saying like the point of the song is like he's playing a victim. He's like, I wish I could win the lottery like Warren Buffett. Must be nice with all that money. But it came to mind when I was reading this because he goes, obviously, so we've heard, and this may be part of your programming. You may have heard money can't buy happiness. And so you're like rebelling against it. Like, no, I'm going to prove to the world that I'm going to be happy and poor, which that still is affecting your money blueprint. If that is your meaning, then you are going to stay poor to prove to other people that you can be happy and be poor. Okay, instead of exploring the meaning that you attach to it, can money buy you happiness? Not necessarily, but if it can buy you marriage therapy, if it can buy you a boat, if it can buy you a vacation, if it can pay for somebody else's adoption, like those are good things. Those are good, healthy, okay things to have in your life. And so please just be aware. And it even talks about like the meaning behind anger. Like if you're only going to be rich to prove to somebody else that you can, or you're going to stay poor to prove to somebody else something, that still is, you've attached meaning to something, and that still is affecting your money blueprint. So I am so excited for all of these like light bulb moments all of you guys are having about all this. Let me tell you all about the homework, and then we're going to discuss until 9:30. We'll cut it off at a hard 9:30. But to remind you that after this call, I already have the post all written up. I'm going to post it on the Team Plexus Provision page right after this call. It is going to have the link to the Facebook page you need to join. As soon as this recording is uploaded, I'll upload it tonight. It will also house the recording of this episode, and it's going to have the link to your homework. It's all going to be there right after the call. Okay, so make sure that you are in there. If somebody could not be on the call tonight, they have to watch this recording before they can be added to the group. Okay, if you are having like lots of light bulb moments, go tell your team about this. Go send a personal message to a friend and say, oh my goodness, tell them what you learned. Okay, people don't want to be told what to do, but they want to hear your personal experience. So go and tell them some light bulb moments you've had, some changes you are already having and implementing in your life and your business. Go tell them why it's changed you, and invite them to do it with us. Okay, they can still jump in. This book, as you get into it, you'll understand that it's an entertaining, easier read, and goes by pretty fast. Also, I'm going to have a reading guide in the group. So if you're listening on Audible, it's a 5-hour and some hour book on Audible, but I have where to start and stop on Audible because it doesn't have chapters, which is in the Audible, and it's confusing. So I tell you like next week what time to start it at and what time to end it at. So I hope that's helpful for you guys. And I am so proud of you guys for doing your homework. I'm already declaring that you are going to do your homework because you're in this group to change your life. You're in this group to have a different outcome. You're in this group to increase your income and increase your impact. And this is where the money happens. This is where the change happens. I could talk to you all day, but it ain't going to change your life. Okay. All I can do is guide you in the ways that you can change your life. I can't change your life. You can change your life. And so I'm excited about that for you guys. And the Freedom Prayer, it's going to be Wednesday. I really hope you guys join us. That's optional, but I really would love for you guys to be a part of that. The only thing is that you have to be on there when it starts. It's not something you can hop in the middle of. So either be on when it starts or just catch the recording. And make sure you're in a quiet place by yourself when you listen to that, because you're going to have your eyes closed for most of that session. And it's one of the, I've done this in group settings. I did this in my marriage group I did last May, and it was a lot of people's most favorite part of the entire class and the entire course because of freedom. It just added to the level of freedom from that because Jesus frees people way more than this book does, way more than T. Harv Eker does, and way more than I do. So, okay, what else? I want to hear from you guys. What else is going on? What are you thinking? What are you doing? Are you guys having a good time with this? Are you having a hard time with this? Let's talk about it.
Okay, so I wasn't going to say anything, but
so proud of you.
I actually heard about this entire group, this book and everything like 2 hours before this all happened. But there were some things kind of leading up to it. Total God thing, no doubt. But this book totally blew my mind. Was not what I was expecting.
Mhm.
I am a little cautious with the hokey stuff, but I'm here for it. I mean, he's he's got me convinced here. So I'm loving that. But there are so many things that like I eventually had to quit writing and like talk to my iPad to like fully get everything out because I couldn't keep up with how much what was sticking out to me. I just needed to like repeat what he was saying to keep on top. But I was enlightened by so many things. And my son has been so infatuated with money lately. He just turned 9. But he has been so like overwhelmed by figuring out how much money these YouTuber makes, how much, you know, like this computer setup costs and all these things. And I'm hearing from him what I've been saying and the things that I believe about money. And not in like a weird way, but it's like, you know, he's a reflection of me. He's an extension of me. So anyways, I was like, oh my goodness, this is too much. And when I was reading this book, I was like, oh, I'm about to get slapped so hard with so much
It's only
truth.
just begun.
It's only just begun. And so I feel really hopeful that I really wanted to get into this because I wanted to learn more like money management, honestly, but I had no clue this is what I was getting into. And I'm so glad. I really do believe things are about to change.
Amen.
Yeah.
I
So
agree
thank
with
you.
it. Yes. And you brought up another example, like he talks about in the book, like, are you programmed to mismanage money? Is that your belief? Like, I'm not good at money. I don't know how to handle money. I'm not good with money. Like, if that's how you're programmed, that's how you will continue to believe. This has also been really cool. Another quick example, since I've been rereading this, my mind has been expanded because that's kind of been an area I've avoided. Like I kind of have just put money in a savings account, and because investments and retirement felt like really weird to me, or I felt uninformed. I felt dumb around that. And so interesting. So since I've been expanding my mind around it, just 2 days ago, okay, the Megan and Justin Goff use a certain guy, and I ordered his book a while ago. It came in the mail. I read the entire book within 2 hours, set up appointments with them, and I already feel so much peace and excitement, and I feel smarter around money management already. So I'm just telling you, if you change your blueprint, if you change what your beliefs are, it's amazing the things that will line into place. I want to address one more thing because you said it too. You're like hokey stuff. I want to address that real quick. Okay. Y'all know I love Jesus. Okay. So he may talk about, I don't know. If he talks about anything besides that, I just want you to understand, take the good, spit out the bad. But I also want you to understand what meaning you may have attached to touching your head or touching your heart. Like you may have something weirdo attached to that, like weirdo people do that or whatever type of, but what if you just simply change the meaning of that? Like he says over and over again, let's try something new. And so you putting your hand over your heart and declaring things like, my inner world creates my outer world. What I heard about money isn't necessarily true. I choose to adapt new ways of thinking to support my happiness and success. I have a millionaire mind. Okay. I did not just do anything weird or hokey, but I am connecting emotions. It's just like I'm just being aware of my body. I'm actually being aware of what I'm saying and thinking and believing. And a beautiful thing about it is you got to pause for a second in order to do it. And that's one of our biggest hindrances in life, as we are just rushing through it, and no awareness or reflection comes if we don't pause for just a second. And so I really want to encourage you to do those things. When he says, put your hand on your heart, say this out loud, touch your head, say, I have a millionaire mind. What have you got to lose?
I'm so glad you said that. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah. Who's talking right now? Sorry.
Oh, that was me, Chrissy.
Oh, Chrissy, hey. Sorry.
But you're right. Like I didn't think about it just now. Like I do associate like touching with crazy things from my past. So thanks for saying that.
Let's redeem it for good. If your blueprint is not set to success, nothing else matters. He says this multiple times. If your blueprint is not set to success, nothing else matters. Y'all know we're doing February Focus on the team page. Y'all can watch every single team page there ever was. Y'all can do IPA every single day. But if your blueprint is not set to success, you're going to have more resistance. It's going to be harder to be more successful. You're going to spin your wheels longer. But so let's get to the root of this. So these things that you are intaking, which I do hope everybody's doing February Focus. It's one video a day, Monday through Friday. We're going to learn from some phenomenal jewels on this company from other teams who are doing really cool, really successful things. When I was in the heat of climbing the ranks, I was all about learning what successful people were doing. So this is a really great course. We've only just started it. I put a, if you're unfamiliar with that, there's been a video each day on the Team Provision page. But if your blueprint is not set to success, nothing else matters. Okay, you're going to subconsciously have that foot on the brake. So let's put some ease. Let's put some belief, some hope, some expectations into your efforts. Like we said at the beginning of the call, this, where he says, this is the most important book you will ever read. Number 2, most important book you'll ever read. Believe that. What if you let yourself believe that? What if you expect that? I'm going to. So I've got 2 more minutes. Anybody else feeling the burn to talk?
Hey, Jess, real quick, I'm gonna go Bible on you here, but the Bible does say to lay hands on the sick and they shall recover. And I believe that if we have a mindset that is not right, that doesn't line up with God's word, I do believe in laying your hands on your head and on your heart and on things in your body with intent of what God's word says. And, God's word talks about money. God's word talks about abundance. God's word talks about us being prosperous. And, we have been taught sometimes as children. I was taught as a child, because I had a poverty mindset because of the way that I was raised. But when I became a Christian and when I dove into God's word and I understood that he didn't want me poor, he didn't want anybody poor. We're poor by choice. We're poor because we choose to stay stuck in the situation. And I just really believe, and I'm going to cut it off now. I just really believe that if your mindset and your heart is broken, that's a sickness. And it does say to lay hands on the sick and they shall recover. And that's counting ourselves. You can lay hands on yourself and you'll recover from that. So thanks, guys.
Thank you. Amen. A total reformation, Romans 12:2 in the Passion Translation says, stop imitating the ideals and opinions of culture around you, but be inwardly transformed by the Holy Spirit through a total reformation of how you think. So let's reform how we think, because our thoughts affect our feelings affect our actions, and our actions affect our results. So I'm honored to help play a small piece in your journey, because this book study is about you, and it's about your team, and it's about your children and your family. It's about future generations. Who we are is how we lead. And so I'm excited for the awareness that is going to come as you guys fill out your homework. And this is homework you can go do right now. You don't have to read the next section before you do this homework. It has to do with what we've already read so far. And so if the kids are already in bed and your husband's already in bed, take a few minutes and go ahead and fill this out right now if you want to. I'm giving away $100 bills, y'all. $100 bills for the people who fill out this form. We will see you next Thursday night, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Freedom option is going to be that Wednesday. All the information will be in the group. Thank you for being a part of this. If this impacted you, tell somebody. Go quote this on your wall. Go quote this on your team. Spread the love. Add value to the world. Set other people free. Let's do it. Okay? Proud of you guys. See you later.